Welcome to the Scientist with Heart Podcast, my open diary of academic life. This is a space where I share my personal thoughts and reflections on research, teaching, and university life. These are my own opinions, and the aim is to spark discussion, exchange perspectives, and gather insights from others navigating the academic roller coaster at the bench and in the lecture hall. Academia needs change. We have to do something. It's rotten, it's toxic, it's broken. People complain more and more loudly about the situation, and that worldwide. They complain about the lack of stability, the endless contracts, and I understand this. I am inside academia, and I am on a fixed-term contract myself, and I have shared before in this podcast what this feels like. But today I want to take a step back and ask, why is academia built like this in the first place? Academia is not a workplace in the usual solid job for life sense. Unless you are a professor, you do not apply for a position and stay until retirement, usually. Professorships and some of rare administrative posts are the exception here. Most jobs in academia are temporary. There are some more stable roles like lab managers, technical staff, but even there things shift, and when a group leader changes the city or retires, people often get reassigned. So academia is not a solid building. It's more like a train station or a beehive. I brought this metaphor up before in another podcast. So it's always in motion. People coming in, people leaving, some climbing upwards, some moving sideways. Why is it like this? What is the reason for this? Academia relies on this movement. It is built around education and development. You enter to learn, then you leave with what you have gained. Not everyone can stay, because there simply is not enough space. And also, not everyone wants to stay. This high turnover rate of people in academia, it is not a bug. It's a feature of academia. Without it, academia would not work. I think of it a little bit like a conveyor belt. Every 3 to 5 years, new people step in, do their work, and move on. So why is this necessary? Because when people are stuck too long in one position, they often lose drive and motivation. The system needs fresh energy, new voices, new ideas. The constant push forward basically forces everyone to grow, to decide what's next, to jump into a new role or even out into another field. The competitive and temporary setup keeps research alive and dynamic. And this is an observation. I'm not judging at this point if this is positive or negative. And for sure, if we would go deeper into an analysis here, we would find arguments for both sides. There is another side, and that is the professor role. Once you land it, it's for life, with pension, job security, respect. It's no wonder that professorships are so desirable, especially in places like Germany. But that contrast also creates frustration. Most researchers, like me, sit in the middle, experienced, skilled, but stuck in temporary contracts without clear paths forward. So why not just add more stable roles for researchers? A lot of people request that. There is a request for building more stable positions in this middle part. Here is where it's becoming a little bit controversial. If academia was full of permanent positions, it might slow down. That might be happening. It could become heavy, even more bureaucratic, a stone giant instead of a river. And don't get me wrong, also here, it is already highly bureaucratic. It is already painfully slow sometimes, but it could be worse. So the hypothesis is that free research needs fresh people, and that all the time. There's a difference compared to industry. In pharma or private R&D, Permanent staff makes a lot of sense because research is managed toward one clear goal. And please comment if you have experience in that respect, and feel free to correct me or add to this statement. Academia, in contrast to industry, is free. Free in the same sense as art is free. And that freedom requires a different kind of structure. It depends on having new people, fresh perspectives, and constant change. So where does this leave the people like me on fixed-term contracts? On the one hand, yes, sometimes I wish for more security. Everyone does, it's natural. On the other hand, knowing how the system is built makes it easier to live with. Instead of fighting the nature of the river, I tell myself, better to learn how to use the paddle. That paddle is knowledge. That's my true belief. Understanding how academia works and how it works in your space, so at your location, in your university environment, that is key. Seeing which doors are closed and which ones might still open for you. Once I saw the system more clearly, I started to feel a little bit more safe, even inside this constant, sometimes overwhelming flow. If I would sum this up now in my own words, I think I would say academia is not broken by accident. It is designed as a place of constant motion. You go in, you learn, you grow, and then you usually move on. That's what keeps it alive. And this doesn't mean we shouldn't demand fairer conditions or push for improvements. Activists are necessary, and I'm glad that you, if you are one of them, provided, for example, higher salaries for PhD students or a contract for the last year of the PhD thesis, things like that give a little bit of security, at least in Germany. Change happens on small and on large levels due to these people's activism. But before trying to change the whole thing, it helps to understand the basics. So picture academia as a river and not a rock. In itself, academia is moving. It's like a river. And if you are floating in that river, don't panic. No matter what academic age you are, don't panic. Just grab the paddle. So that means get to know the system. Don't just be passive. What are the structures in your faculty? Who's the decision maker? Why are things like this and that? And so on. Now, if you listened until this point, I would like to ask you, what do you think about this concept that academia is in constant change, because this is the intrinsic feature that keeps it going? Please share your thoughts on this and let us start a conversation.